No, I think it's not this. Is it in the, let me see. Ah, no, sorry. I think I opened the wrong file. Let me look for it. Okay, so I think it should be this student management system. Yeah, it's this. Let me open it, please. Okay, so it's loading up. Okay, so I think so. These are where we stopped last week, where we did the mapping of the teachers and everything. So the first thing I will do is let's just finish loading up. Okay, so the first thing I will do is I will check the branch I am, because I'm not. I think last week we did more of talking, just explaining. We didn't do more of coding last week, just explaining, going through and discussing basically. So I think I've forgotten where I am. So the first thing you do is when you check the branch you have. So it's going to be Git branch. So I'm not currently on the master. I'm currently on the session, feature session term result entity. So this was the last branch I did. So I'll check on Git status to see my status. If everything is clean, it's clean. Then I will switch to my master branch. Remember, our development should always be on the master branch. Then we'll check out of the master branch. So I'll go to Git master. Git checkout master. So Git checkout master. So you see, I've switched to the master branch now. So if I check on Git branch, so you see, I'm currently on the master branch. Before the green was this, but now the green is not the master. So I'm on the master branch now. Then I'm going to give Git status. Okay, so now the next thing it says that so I'm on the master branch, but I need to pull the changes we did the last time from our repo. So I'll just do a git pull. I need to pull all the changes that I'm missing. Exactly. So these are the changes I don't have. But currently my master branch is updated with what we have on our repo, which everybody can access. Exactly. So if I click on git pull now, it'll tell me up to date. So it's up to date, so it's good. So I'm up to date now with this branch. So I can close all this now. We don't need all this anymore. This is just the entity mapping, basically. So yeah, so we're good. Okay. So now, next thing we need to do is that we need to start creating endpoints. So what are endpoints basically? Endpoints are, so if you're working with front end, let's say there's a front end, there's a back end. The front ender is separated from the back end. Now, for the front end and the back end to communicate, there must be an endpoint that you have to pass to the front end team. That's okay. When you want to submit this form, use this endpoint. When you want to do something, use this endpoints. So let me give you an example. So if you look at, let's say, so API endpoints. So let me say example. Okay, good. Let me look for okay, good. So let's use Mailchimp now for an example of API endpoints. Let me just say this stuff. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna get source. Example. Okay, let me just see. Let's pick an example. One example. Good. Now, good. So this is an endpoint basically. So an endpoint is just is what we will give to the front end team, that the front end team is going to send a request, that endpoint. Then our endpoint will process that request and give a response back to the front end team. So this is like an endpoint now /author. So remember, so let's say your website is www. Let's say University of Benin, uniben.com. This is your domain name. So this is like a fixed domain name. Now /author These are endpoints basically. So anything outside your domain name, all those URL you are seeing outside your domain name are called endpoints. And each of those endpoints has a specific action they are doing. So if you see this one now, this example that we're looking at here, I just pick an example online. It says /author. This endpoint will give us the list of all the users. Yeah, so retrieves the list of all users, or we want to create a new users. Then we can create /author/ID. So we can also create, so if you want to get all the authors, we can use this link to get all the authors in our set, for example. We can also create let's say ID like this. This ID is a variable. It can be anything. So let's say ID can be 1, 2, 3, 4. Now this will give us the information of the particular author having this 1, 2, 3, 4 as an ID. You get now here. So these are just endpoints. So now we want to create our endpoint in our project now. So looking at our system now. So let me see. So let's look at our system now. Let me go back to CorelDRAW and open our system. So Vision 100K. Let me open it now. So let's see the endpoints that we will need to start creating. Then before we now plug the front end to complete the project, basically. So let's open this. This contains our entity, basically. So let me open the diagrams. And so we're going to proper coding, but don't be scared. Don't be scared. So don't be scared.
Not with you.
So don't be scared. So now I want to create an endpoint. Let's say the first endpoint I want to create is an endpoint to get all the teachers in our school.
Okay.
So we want to create an endpoint to get. So this is saying get all the authors in our school. But because we're not doing like an author system, let me see if anybody's on Zoom that's meeting authorization. Let me just check. Sorry. Okay, that's good. Okay, that's fine. So because we're not using an author system, we're using teacher system. So let's assume we want to create an endpoint to fetch all the teachers in our database. You get, let's fetch all the teachers in our database. Now, how do we do that? So now we agree that the endpoint should be called, so let me say with this arrow, notepad. So the endpoint should be called /teachers. Because we are fetching all the teachers, it should go with an X, teachers. You understand now?
Okay.
Yes, /teacher. So this endpoint will give us. Remember, you are the developer. You are the one creating the endpoint, not the front ender. You will be the one to create the endpoint and give it to the front ender to use it. Great, yes, to the front end guys to use to. So if you want to fetch all the teachers for these endpoints, we want to do the hair. So this will give us a list of all, let's say, active teachers, all active teachers in our teachers table, teachers entity.
Okay.
Oh, look in our school, in our school. Yes. Now I'll tell the front end. If you want to get the list of all active teachers in our school, this endpoint will give you a list of all active teachers in our school. And because we are using a get, we are getting the HTTP request will be a get request. We agree now. So
yes,
the HTTP,
yes.
remember we have 4 types of HTTP requests. We have HTTP method. So there are 4 types. So we have one is the get, which is GT, which is to retrieve, which is to retrieve data. So anytime I'm retrieving data from our database, we're just processing just normal information, we always use the get method. Then the 2 is the post. So POST is to create record, to create a resource, to create record. So you want to create a record, to create record or resource. It will be a post. The third one is the put or the patch. So the put or the patch is to update. To update when you're updating the record in your database, it's called so that particular method is called a put or a patch. And the difference between put or patch is that put is that you are updating all the record for that particular ID. Patch is that you're just updating some records, not all. Like you're patching data. So you're patching. Okay. Then the fourth one is delete. So when you are deleting, if you want to delete any data or delete a resource or a record, we'll use the delete method to delete resource. Yeah. So now, if you look at this stuff now, it follows the database acronym of CRUD, CRUD, which is to create, to read, to update, and to delete. Yeah. So these are basically the functionalities of a database: create resource, create record, read data, update data, and delete data. And you can see each of them matches to this HTTP method. So if you are reading, it will be a GET request. If you are creating, it will be a POST request. If you are updating, it will be a put or a patch. Depending, if you are doing a full update, it will be a put. If you are doing a patch, like not a full update, but you just want to update some data, it will be a patch. If you are deleting, it will be a delete. So you can see it patch. So since we are retrieving the record from this endpoint will be a get method. We agree.
Yes.
Agree.
Yes, I do.
Yes. So using that this so let's go. So let's continue. So let's proceed. Now, so for front ender, it is called endpoint. But for we as developer, we don't call it endpoint, we call it routes. But it's the same thing.
Route.
Yes, route. So arrow, so it is called route. So it's ROU, so it's called routes. Yes, ROUT. So routing. So we're routing our application to different endpoints. So that when you so we're routing our application to different endpoints so that when you hit our endpoint, it's going to route you. So when you hit our application, it's going to route you. You're going to look at the endpoint you are calling and it's going to route you to the direct endpoint. And the part of our application that's going to do this routing is called our controller. So you remember the MVC now? Remember the MVC framework now? So MVC framework stands for model. So the M.
Virtual control.
Yes. So this is the these are like software architecture, our design pattern. So the M is the model, which represents database, which we've done, database or entity, which we've done already. Database or entity. So this is how you submit your application. Then we have the C. Let me pick the C.
The V.
So let me pick the C first. Now,
okay.
So the C is the controller. So this controller is used to something like so. The controller basically take a request from the view, process the request, get data from the module, send the response back to the view. So it's like our entry block basically. So it's like our mid feeder. Like our midpoint. So this is our entry block. Then the view is our front end, which is where Daniel comes in, our front ender. So our front end is the view. So the view will pass a request to the controller. The controller will validate this request.
Send it to the model.
Send it to the model for data retrieving. Let's say, for example, now, I want to get the list of teachers. The controller does not have the list of teachers. It's the model that has the list of teachers. Controller is the owner of this endpoint / teacher. So it's at this controller level we'll create the endpoint called / teacher. Now, when this view, that is Mr. Daniel, send a request to this endpoint, which is / teacher, the controller says, oh, the front end wants to get a list of teachers. Okay, fine. I will go to my model. And model, give me all the list of teachers that are active. The model all the list of hand it over to the controller. Then the controller will now pass it over to the front end. And the data will now be presented to you for you to see the list of teachers in the school. So that's just the logic flow. You get, so that's just the logic flow basically. So you see the logic now. So the front end guy, which is either React, Vue, Angular, will send a request to this slash teacher endpoint. Remember, this slash teacher is an endpoint. Yeah, it's an endpoint. Now, this endpoint is domiciled in our controller level of our architecture. You get, so it's a request going to send to slash endpoint. Now, this gives us this controller. We're saying this endpoint gives us a list of all the active teachers in our school. Then the next thing is that the controller does not have the data of all the teachers, the list. No, it is the model that has the data. So the controller will now interact with the model and say, the model, give me the list of teachers that are active. Then the model will go to the database, fetch those records, pass it on to the controller. Then the controller will now present the data to the view. Now, remember, this front end can be Angular. So that all these are front end framework basically. So Angular, React, all these are front end framework. View basically. So these are front end framework. But Symfony also has its own front end framework, which we'll be using in this project. So Symfony front end framework is called Twig. So it's a Symfony on its own. So it's a Symfony front end framework that we can integrate on the Symfony project. So you can use Symfony to build a full stack application without using any, but like if we're doing like that, we are creating a monolithic application where both the front end and the back end are together. But in some companies, they will separate the front end using those views, React, Angular. Then those front end will be calling the controllers. But for this project, we're using a Symfony front end. So it's called Twig. So TWIG. So that's the Symfony front end framework which we'll be using to integrate our front end basically. So now let's create a controller. We've done the model. So now because we're creating our endpoint, we need to declare it in the controller. So it means that you need to have a controller file that will pass to the front end guy or our Twig guy to call to get the data of the list of all the teachers. I don't know if it's making sense. Daniel, is it making sense?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it is.
So I'm trying to break it to the very minimum. So now to create a controller in Symfony, the command is PHP. Mr. Trust, welcome. Ada, welcome. In fact, we started like not quite long again, so you guys can definitely catch up. Yeah, welcome, boss.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So the control to create a controller file in PHP in Symfony is very simple. You just command also. So it's PHP bin/console make controller, then the name of our controller. Now, this is one rule you will do. Remember, we want to make our project very neat, simple to update, simple to use. Now, if we create a teacher controller, it means that that controller file will have everything that has to do with our teacher. We will not mix controllers together. Just the same. So remember, okay, so let me show you our model file. So let's do our model. You see model, results has everything that has to do with results. School has everything to do with school. Session, student class. It's the same. We want to separate each controller to have its unique responsibility. Now, the rule of writing clean code is that a class must have one single responsibility. You cannot have a controller giving you teacher's record and also have the same controller giving you student record. No, you should have two controllers. One controller to give you student's record, one to give you teacher's record. So that way you are splitting your logic into simple class. So that if tomorrow they tell you there's something wrong with the teacher's record, you just go to the teacher controller. You will not touch the student controller. You will not touch the session controller. You know where to go to and just run your updates, or you know where to go to and debug the error, basically. So we'll be having lots of controllers in our class. So like I said, so anytime you see controller, just see controller like the mid feeder is the one taking the request from the front end, passing the data, validating the data, calling the, so take the defense like the database, calling the defense, getting record from the defense, and shooting it back to the front end. So now the command is PHP bin/console make controller. Now by rule, your controller file must end with the controller as an ending file. So it must end with, so whatever you're naming it, XXX controller. So you can name it XXX controller. But because this controller is currently working on the teacher, we're going to call it
teacher controller.
Exactly. So this /n/teacher will be on our teacher controller. So I'm just trying to break it very, very simple. So it's going to be on our teacher controller file. You get now this teacher controller file. The job of this teacher controller file will be to hold every information that has to do with the teacher, only the teacher. So it will help us handle requests that have to do with only teachers in our school. So only teachers. We will not put school requests here. We will not put student requests here. We will not put session requests here. It's just the teacher requests that will be in here. Just a minute. Okay. So let me name it. So the rule is being PHP being console make controller. So that if I run this command, Symfony will create a controller file, which currently look at my controller. My controller folder is empty. It's only just have the git ignore, which is like a file to see which files I want to ignore. So it's empty. As soon as I run this command, git will create me 2 files. It's going to give me the teacher's controller file, and also to try to create a file here, like a view file for me. But I don't want to, for now, I don't want to have a view file. We'll come to view later. Let's take it step by step. So when we finish our controller, we will now go to the view, like the front end. So what I will do is that I will add additional flag. Additional flag is just like an additional command. I'll call it / no template. So what this thing means is that create for me a teacher controller file, but don't create for me a front end file. For now, I don't want a front end file. But if you don't put in no template, so Symfony will by itself create for you a controller file for the teacher and also a view file for the controller, because it goes together basically. Yeah, but for now, I'm telling you, since we're taking this step by step in the project, for now, we'll finish our model, which is entity. We're going to our controller. Let's look at our controller. So I'll create an enter. And you see, Symfony will create this file for me, basically. So it's still running. Please, as I'm teaching, if you have any questions, please just ask. So feel free to ask. So you can see.
Okay.
So you can see Symfony has created the file, and you can see if we go to the controller now. So let's look at our controller. You're going to pop up the file here. So you can see this is the teacher controller file. You can see. So it matches with the name I gave it here. Now, so let's look at the controller file basically. What's inside the controller file? So let's look at what's inside the controller file. It's just a simple file basically. So what does PHP do? So let us look at this stuff very well. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. Now this is a default Symfony controller file. Now it will start with a namespace. What is a namespace in PHP? Because now Symfony uses object-oriented programming. Now a namespace is just a way of you trying to segment your code into different sections. So let me explain what this stuff does. So if you look at this namespace now, namespace is saying app controller, right? Okay, good. So let me show you. It's called app controller. Let me show you why it's called app controller. So when you see it next time again, or when you see something, you understand what it means. Now, namespace is for us to segment our files or our classes into different segments of our application. But let me tell you the rule it uses. Now, every file. So remember, I told you that you'll be working majority Symfony. All those files you are seeing outside this source file is Symfony default file. Where majority of your work will be on this src file, because this folder will contain your controller, your entity, and your repository. The only file you'll be working outside is your template, which will be your view file, which will be the twig that I'll be using. And the twig does not use namespace. So this twig, you will not use namespace in this twig file, which is your template. So you use namespaces in files that are basically inside this source. Now, Symfony sees our source file by default as our app file. It's default. So you see this app. This app is pointing to your source file, your source folder, sorry. Then this controller here is pointing to your controller folder. You can see the way Symfony is mapping our file to our directory. Remember, the app is pointing to the source file, the source folder. The controller is pointing to the controller folder. Then this teacher controller is pointing to the teacher controller.php file. So if I look at this class, I know the name of this class because always your class name must match with your PHP file name. It's a rule. So if your class name is called teacher controller, the name of the file should be teacher controller.php. Then based on the namespace, this file is located first of all inside the controller folder. Then the controller folder is located inside the app folder, of which Symfony matches our app folder to our source directory by default. Now let's show you for entity. Let's use the same mapping for entity. Now let's look at entity. Now this entity, the class is called results. So therefore, the file will be called result.php. We agree, right?
Yes, yeah.
Exactly. Now let's look at the namespace. So this result.php, it is found first in the entity folder, right? Which is this entity folder. You can see it now. Then the entity folder now resides in the app folder, which Symfony maps at the source directory as our major entry point to our application.
Okay.
I don't know if it's clear. Any questions regards that?
It's a bit confusing.
Okay, so let me go back again. Mr. Trust, please ask question. Okay, now this is stuff now.
Yes, I understand it clearly.
Okay. Now, sir, this is stuff now. So
No, just go ahead.
yes.
Just go ahead.
So no. Let me explain. No. I can't go ahead when it's not clear. So namespaces is just a way for us to partition our classes into segments, so that when we're calling our classes, the PHP application knows which class we're exactly calling.
Okay.
Yeah, it knows. So now the folder will be working with majority of the time is this source directory. All this is the migration file, basically. This is the configuration file. This is the public access. So all these are just like Symfony configuration up and down. But where we'll be doing most of our coding, so let's say 7% of our coding will be inside this source directory. Now, also we'll be doing coding, our front end file will be stored in this template directory. But this template directory does not need namespacing.
Okay.
So let us close this out. So majority of our 90% of our code that will require namespacing will be done in our source directory, which is this directory here, which is this folder here. When I say directory, it's folder. Now, PHP sees Symfony, sorry, not PHP now. Symfony sees our source directory as our app. So let me show you where it does that. So let's open JSON. Okay. Oh, sorry, someone's trying to do it. So let me show you where. So it's getting interesting. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. It's not.
No.
Yeah. So let me show you where it does that. Okay, good. Good. So you see, PHP uses Symfony uses what they call an autoload. So what's an autoload? As soon as you start your Symfony projects, Symfony will automatically load all your classes for you by itself. That's the beautiful thing. Now, see where Symfony is mapping. Now, Symfony is mapping this app to this source directory.
Okay.
So anywhere you are using app, Symfony is referring you to the source directory, which is your entry point.
Okay.
So you are seeing it now. So this is where Symfony is. And your composer, so remember, this is your composer file, is like a setup to your application. So Symfony has mapped app to your src/directory. So you see it now. So what this thing means is that this file you can find this file in our source directory, inside our source directory, because this app means, so this app now, remember, this app means SRC now. We agree now.
Yes.
Okay. Now, so this app means SRC. Now, inside this source file, you will now look for a folder called controller, which is inside this source file. Remember, these files are inside this source file. So there's a controller file. Now, inside this controller file, you will now see this class, teacher controller.php.
Okay.
So which is this. You get to that. Then now let's read. So sir, read. So sir, what will I find this file now? Using that same so what will I find this file? I want to tell you what will I find this file.
Which one?
This particular file I just opened now, results.php.
Results.php.
Yes. So where will I find this file? Mr. Trust, you can also go ahead. Anybody can answer. So now looking at this stuff now, I've opened another file now. Look, without you looking at the namespaces and the class name, where will I find this file? If I ask you, okay, where is this file existing? Can you tell me the file?
It's existing in the SRC.
Okay, XRC, okay.
So find it under the controller.
No, so look at the namespace and the class name.
Oh, no, okay.
So it's under the entity. The entity repository.
Good. Or should I increase the front?
Yeah, it's a bit tiny.
It's a bit tiny. Okay, let me see. Maybe I can increase the front.
Yes, I was trying to do my screen.
Okay, let me see. Then I need to take it. So let me see if I can open. Let me see if I can open. I think let me open VS Code. I'm always finding it difficult to increase in. Okay, let me see settings. Let me see. I think what is it? So I think it's too small. Let me increase it by. If VS Code is better, I'll use VS Code. My VS Code is still open. Let me see. Let me just view appearance. Okay, yeah. So let me open this project in VS Code. I think VS Code will be better. Let me close this here. I can easily view, so file, open folder, desktop. So I can zoom it out so I can see it well. Since we're using phones. Student management system, good.
No, this Symfony would have. I love this Symfony.
No, it makes coding very simple and well organized, basically. It's just for you to understand the way it's. There's nothing there. Just for you to understand it. So let me increase I think it's view. Yeah, view appearance. Zoom out. Where is it? Zoom. Okay, yeah. It should be zoom in. Let me see. Yeah, good. So is it better?
Yes.
Better, right? Okay, good. So let me open it. So let me open the file again now. So let me file is good. So you can see the two either Symfony or VS Code, they are mapped together because they're using Git. So whatever file open there, automatically it appears on the other disk. So now look at this. So we're looking at this file.
Okay.
I'm not saying, yeah, look now without you knowing. So let me close all the folder. Let me close my folder. Now let's look at this stuff together. Let's see. Can you tell me? I've closed. In fact, definitely I've closed my folder. I've said, okay, look at this stuff. Tell me where this file is located. First of all, tell me the name of this file. First of all, who can tell me the name of this file?
Which file? Okay.
Yeah, this file I'm opening now. What's the name of the file? So this file that is opening. This file is open. What's the name?
Yeah, okay, this results.php.
Repository though.
No, what's the name of the file? The name of the file.
It's a results file, results.php.
Your source folder.
No, the name of not where it's located. The name of the file.
A results file.
Entity.
No, the name of the file. The name of the file.
It's results.php.
Yes. Okay. So why is it called result.php?
Because it contains all the results of the school.
Okay. So good. Okay. So that's fine. So Daniel, this file is called result.php. And if you ask me why it's called result.php, because it has a class called results. Now remember. So remember the rule in object-oriented programming is that when you have a class, your class must match with the file name. So if a class is called result, it means that that result, the name of the file should be result.php.
Yeah, correct.
So first of all, I'm asking, so when you just see a file and it's always look at the class name. If the class name is teacher, then automatically that file name is teacher.php. If the file name is student, that name of the file is student.php by default. First, because the name of the class must match with the name of the file. So you just add the extension of the application. If it's PHP, add PHP. If it's any language, just add the extension basically to it. That's number. First of all, that's number one. First of all, so look at the class. Look at the class there. Now we're going. So we agree that this name of the file is called result.php, right?
Yes.
Everybody agree now. We agree now.
Yes.
Where is this file found? Where is it located?
It is located in entity.
Why entity?
Because entity.
Okay, so let me give so we agree that the name of the file is called result.php. We agree that one, all right? We agree now.
Yes.
Now, remember I said the namespace, which is always the namespace, tells you an easy access to where the file is found. Now, this file is called I'll edit this stuff. It's called result.php. Just add a PHP to the class name, tells you the name of the file. And this file is found inside the entity folder, and the entity folder is found inside the app folder, which represents the source folder.
Which is the source folder.
Exactly, source folder. So now let's not trace it now. So let's trace it now. So let's go back to this entity. Now, entity, you can see you have the name of the file is called result. It existing in the entity folder, you can get from here. And this entity folder is mapping the APP, and which Symfony has mapped our APP to our source folder, which I just showed you here now. So that you just that there's no magic. So under this place, Symfony is mapping our APP like it calls that to our source folder. So is it clear?
Yes.
So if I open another file, will you tell me where it's stored? Should we try again?
Yes, let's try again.
Let's try again. Okay, that's fine. I like this. Okay, let's try again now. So let me I'll open one file, then I will open one file, then I will ask you what's the name of the file and where is it stored. Okay, so good. So tell me, first of all, tell me what's the name of this file and where is it stored. Just look at the class structure and the position of structure. So tell me what's the name of the file and where is it stored? It's open.
The name of the file is students class repository.
Okay, good. .php, good.
Yes.
That's the name of the file because it matches. So don't look at this extent. What you're looking at is the class name, which is correct. So student class repository.php is the name of the file, but that's the class. Okay, so where will I find this file? So can you look at this code and tell me exactly where can I find this file?
Under repository.
Under repository.
So where's the repository?
Source.
Repository should be under
SRC.
It's on the app, on the source code, on the source file.
Source file. So the source.
The source file.
Exactly. So so let's not see if we're correct. So let's take it back. So the name of the file is called student class repository.php, which is correct, and is found in the repository folder, which is correct, which maps to this stuff, and this folder is found inside the source folder, which maps to this app. So that's just basically. So that's what namespace does basically. It's just like a way of segmenting your files into layers. Because the truth is that you may have another file, another class called teacher.php, another layer of your application.
Okay.
You get, so let's say for example, let's say for example now, so let me create something. So let me show you why namespace is important in coding, not only in PHP. So let's create something inside this stuff. So I'm going to create a new folder. That's why I like using VS Code. See, I'll be talking between VS Code and this stuff. Sorry, between PHP Storm and VS Code. Sorry, let me open. Because PHP Storm just makes it very easy for me, and I'm used to it. So I'll be talking between these two. When I want to view, I will come to VS Code to view. Because the two will be mapped. They'll be in sync. That's not a problem as well. So I want to create something and show you why that namespace is very important, and you see why it's very important. Okay. So let me clear this. So let's take it. Okay, so good. So let me create a folder. Remember, your source file, your SRC, you are the one in charge. The only thing that you can create whatever you want to create is up to you. The only three folder that Symfony will give by default is the controller folder, the entity folder, and the repository folder. Those Symfony will give by default. Every other folder you can create is up to you. You can have API folder, you can have security folder, it's up to you. Okay. But these are the three folders that will come with by default. So let's say I want to create a service folder. So let me create a folder here called service folder. Service folder. Now I've created a folder. I want to create a class inside this folder called teachers class. So okay, so this is where I create a class in Symfony. Let me not be too fast. So I created a folder. To create a class, I'm going to right click it, click on File New, click on PHP class.
Okay.
And you see, now see, if I call this teacher, by default, the file name is called teacher. So whatever the name of the class, you can see the file name is starting with the name of the class. If I call it ZZZ, it's starting together automatically. You can see it now.
Okay.
So that's I say, so the file name was starting with the class name. So if I call this teacher, this will be teacher, and the extension will be PHP. So the file name will just contain this file name as teacher with the .php extension. Basically, it's going to create for me a teacher file. So let me click on OK. Now this file is here, and I have a controller file called. Okay, sorry. Let me not create teacher. Let me delete this. Sorry, let me delete this. Let me create a teacher controller file just to mimic what we have currently. So PHP class teacher controller. Yeah, exactly. So this should not be called exactly. So teacher controller file. So good. So I don't want to add it. So let's go back to VS Code so it will be clear. So it's already here already. Teacher controller class. Okay. Now let's look at these two files. Now if you look at these two files. So let's look at these two files.
Okay.
This and this. Now these two files, they have the same file name, right? So what's the file name of this? What's the file name of so using the class name, what's the file name that will be here? Using the class name.
It will be teacher controller
.php, right? We agree now.
Yes, I agree.
We
teacher
agree
controller
.php. What's the file name for this?
For which one?
For this other file. So this is one file. This is another file. Yeah, so this file name will be called teacher controller.php.
Yes. This one is also teacher controller.php.
So what is the file name?
It's also teacher controller.php.
Good. Now you see that you don't have two files, you have two classes called the same name. So you have two classes called the same name, teacher controller. This one is called teacher controller. This one is called controller.
Teacher controller.
Exactly. I did it on purpose. I want to show you the importance of namespacing. So it's like so teacher controller. But Symfony now uses the namespace to say, okay, this class name have the same name, but they are not on the same location. Why this is a teacher controller class located in the app controller, this is a teacher located class located in the app service.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Does it make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Not so like it's routing, it's giving it a different route to the service.
Yeah, you see it now. So you can have the same. In fact, you can bring in packages and they have the same file name, the same class name.
But in different locations.
Exactly. So this namespace will not tell us which location these files exist. So that's the importance of this namespace. It's just a way of your project mapping. This teacher's class. Oh, we say okay, this is a service teacher's class. Why this is a controller teacher's class.
Teacher class.
Does it make sense?
Yes.
Makes sense.
It makes
Like
sense, right?
say management staff and active staff.
Okay.
That is
Exactly.
teacher controller and teacher service.
Yes.
Teacher controller under
That service, and you have
under service, and the teacher controller under controller.
Exactly. But just one stuff that can help us differentiate is this namespace.
The namespace, yes.
Namespace. So that's the function of namespacing.
Okay.
And it's done for you automatically. As soon as you create the file, Symfony will help you just space it and just pick it directly and just create it for you automatically. That's why I love PHP stuff. To just pick your directory and namespace it for you. You get it? So let me delete this service now. So I just use that to tell you the importance of. So I can delete the service. I'm done in this service, but in your application, you can have the same class, the same file name, but different namespace location. So we can proceed now. It's making sense now.
Yes.
Exactly.
Maybe Avis.
Sir?
Maybe you should open another one. Let her answer. She has not spoken since.
Yeah, exactly. I think you're very right. So exactly, you're very right. So Miss Ada, so let me open another file so you tell us where that file is located. Thank you, sir. You're very correct. So Ada, can you tell us where this file is located? Ada, you're mute too.
We try.
Okay, good. I like that. So tell us where this file. Ada and Goodness, you guys can go together. So you can brainstorm together. So tell us where this file is located. Hope you can see the screen, or should I increase it? So can you tell us the name of the file first of all? Look at it. Okay, let me collab this one. Look at this file and tell us the name of the file.
Right.
Yes. So what is it?
Yes, okay.
Sorry?
Okay.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So the name of because the class is, remember, so what you are looking for the class name. Remember, this class is a keyword. So temp. Beautiful.
Okay.
Now the name of the file will be temp.php. Like you said the class name is called temp. So the name of the file will be temp.php. Now, where is this temp file located? If I ask you, Ada, Goodness, tell me where, look at this stuff. Tell me, even without looking at the file structure by the right, can you tell me where is this temp file located?
Repository.
No, not repository, no.
Oh.
PHP.
Yeah, it's a PHP file. Yeah, it's a PHP file, but tell me where is it located in? Which folder is it located in?
Entity.
Good. So why? So I don't want you to be guessing. Entity is correct. So why is it entity? Don't guess. So tell me why is it entity?
Sorry, I came late. So,
Okay.
the term is an entity. Now, we map this all these entity together. So,
Okay, so good. So okay, and I just pause. So bros say he came late, Abi. So bros, make I give you your own test. Okay, so bros, make I give you your own test. So bros, tell me what is the name of this file? And I just pause. So we'll come back to you at that because you said entity. You must tell me why it's entity. So bros, now tell me, can you look at this file? And tell me the name of this file. Is it possible? Yes, the name of this.
Is this not the teacher's folder? So
because we don't.
Teacher.
So what's this? So what's the name of the file?
Yeah, teacher.
No, it's not a teacher.
Yeah.
So okay, so because you come later, we
Mm,
don't come up for entity. We don't this controller now, controller.
okay.
So that's why. So that's why I don't say. So that's why. But
Okay,
okay,
but I see teacher controller.php. That's using a teacher.
exactly. Okay, exactly. So this file is called teacher controller. So bros, when you
Uh-huh.
see, so when you see the teacher controller,
For
tell
up.
no,
Yeah.
leave the up. No, leave the up, leave the up. Let's leave the up. More look from
Okay,
this.
within the file. Okay, the teacher controller there for the class.
Exactly. So
The class.
automatically, good. I like that. So the name of the class is called teacher controller.
Okay, sorry, for this side now, it's not teacher controller, but for the other entity, it's just teacher.
Yes, just teacher.
Okay. On the
like
controller folder now, it's not teacher
teacher
controller.
controller.
Okay, can we
Exactly.
still have like the term controller?
Yeah, perfect. That's
All
what.
right.
Blessing, bros. Blessing. Now you don't take all this class. They go.
No, which this thing be this one? Which one is this? So we don't do that's the server side now. On the server
Yeah.
side now is teacher and term.
Bros.
Which side is this?
Bros, no, it's make a meet where you just take out the class. As in everything where
No.
I talk, now you just they talk, they go.
No, I beg you.
Mr. Go, am I lying? Mr. Go, am I lying? I'm not lying now.
No,
You are not lying at all.
No, bro. So the thing that we say, I tell them say we don't move now from entity to the server side.
Yes,
And I said
the
that
server side.
same way we take get teachers, term, session, so we take get teacher
Okay.
controller.
Yeah, okay.
We now map it to each controller. You understand? Exactly what I just said. That's just talk. So like I say, if I say we just hand over the class to you, we just
Okay.
control.
No. But does this have to do with that controller folder we have on our system?
Yeah, exactly. Controller folder.
Okay.
So if you look at this stuff now, is now we're now working on. So we move from this entity folder into our controller folder.
Okay.
And I created the first file called teacher controller because
All right.
so let me just refresh. I think you and the Bungo just came in now. So I said, so let me just refresh this stuff now. But if you play the video, I think it's very clear. So that we'll come back to you, but let me just refresh bros that came in. So we said, now what we need to start doing now is to create endpoints. So what are endpoints? And I gave an example of an endpoint using this stuff. So endpoint is just like what we now give to the front end people that say, okay, when you want to get this information, call this endpoint. So when you are browsing, remember what I will say the example of this, for example. So when we are browsing, let's say you want to get all the lecturers in Uniben. Let's say, for example, I want to get all the lecturers in Uniben, for example. Now remember, www.uniben.com is Uniben domain name. This is a domain name. This has nothing to do with us as programmer. Uniben will go and buy that domain and host it. Where our start from is the slash. So this is our end because this can change. This can change. They can say Facebook can say to me that they're no longer using facebook.com, they're not going to use that domain. It will change. Everything will remain the same. So what concerns us is from after the domain name, those things that are attached is what are called endpoints. And we said on our part, we're going to create /teacher. And the function of this /teacher is that this endpoint will give us a list of all the active teachers in our school. So anytime we want to get a list of all the active teachers in our school, this is the endpoint we will call, which will represent this our domain name /teacher. That stuff will give us a list of all the. Now, when I say that this teacher represents an entity in our database, which is this teacher here in our database, but we will need a controller to receive these requests. So we need a controller to receive, and that controller will be called a teacher controller. So we have to create a teacher controller. And the job of that teacher controller is to handle only requests that has to do with the teachers in our school. The teacher controller will not handle requests that have to do with students. It's not handle requests that have to do with session. No, it's only teacher. Every request that has to do with teacher information, teacher data, teacher record. You want to know the number of class teacher teaches. This controller will do it. So I said, so then I said we have 4 types of method, which is the get, the put, and the patch. When we are retrieving data, it's always a get request. When we are creating new record, it's a post request. When we are updating, it's a put request, and when we are deleting, it's a delete request. These are the 4 major requests we will do in our controller.
Sorry, can you say that request again? The get, the post.
Okay, yes. So this is here. The get, the post, the get, the post, the put or patch or delete. Now, when we are retrieving data from our database of our system, is called a get request. So another request is called a get HTTP method. Remember, this will give us a list of all teachers in our database. So we are retrieving data. Now, so it will fall under a get request because we are retrieving, we are getting information. The post is when you are creating like you are adding a new student, you are adding a new teacher, you are adding a new session. So all those will fall under create, which is post. When you are updating, let's say we made a mistake to a teacher's son, we want to correct it, we want to update a record, it will fall under put or patch. Yes, what's different between put or patch? Put is when you are doing a full update of the entity, it's called a put. But if you are doing just a patch, you are patching just some parts, not a full. It's called a patch, just like you're patching trouser. Patch that you are. Let's say the teacher has surname
It's
first.
like an addition to add to something.
Exactly. You want just to add just some. We want to correct. Let's want to add. We want to correct some. Let's say we missed the teacher's name. We want to correct it. So that's called a patch request. Because we're updating the record of. So we're updating a record that already exists in our database. We're not creating a new one. We are updating an already existing record. Let's say, for example, a teacher that was teaching our school left our school. We need to update that teacher information from being active to inactive. That is an update. That is a patch request. Then when we are deleting, that request falls under delete. So these are the four major requests we'll be doing in our controller. We'll be getting information, we'll be creating information, we'll be updating information, and we'll be deleting information. Now, those four requests align with the CRUD of a database. The major stuff of the database is that the database creates record, reads record, updates record, and deletes record. You get. Then I said, this tally with our MVC pattern. So I said the model is the entity, which is like this fall under the teacher. So you see that teacher now is a model, is a teacher entity. Now, teacher will not correspond with a teacher controller class. You see it now, you see that. So, yeah, so the teacher will then correlate with the teacher controller class, which the endpoint we will define here, which is class teacher, is what we will now pass to these front end guys to call and say, okay, whenever you want to get the list of all the teachers, call this teacher. Yes, slash teacher will give you a list of all the teachers in our database. Then lastly, I said the rules for making a controller is that controller can have anything, but it must end with the controller. So I said SSS controller. So for us, because we're working with the teacher, we'll have teacher controller. When we're working with the school, when we're working with the students, it will be student controller. When we're working with the term, it will be term controller. When we're working with session, it will be session controller. When we're working with result, it will be result controller. So you can see the way we are segmenting our code into different areas. So that when tomorrow they tell me that a student cannot register, I will not go to the teacher's controller file. I will just go to the student's controller because I know it has to do with students. So I will check my student controller file and also check my student entity file, my student in the entity, and say, okay, the problem must be either with the controller file or my model as regards students. So you can see I've narrowed my bug to just 2 files instead of scattering everything, because it is well structured, well organized. Remember, we said object-oriented programming, it makes it easy for us to fix bug. So when they tell you, so as a developer, they tell you, okay, someone cannot log in. You know, oh, you have a login controller. So you know where to go. I tell them, okay, what's the error the person is having? And you just go to that controller and just fix it. So, Russ, I don't know if Russ, any question? I just might bring you up to speed before we proceed. It's clear, right, Russ?
Yeah, it's clear. Yeah.
Okay, good, yeah, good. Yeah, I said the command to make a controller. I would say the command to make a controller in Symfony, this is the command php bin/console.
Is it the same with that one I told you about?
Which one is that?
That I was trying to install in my laptop, the controller. So that is Composer also. I don't know.
No, that's Composer. That's Composer.
Okay.
That's Composer. So you said PHP. So this is the command we use to create. Then I will print the command. No. Okay, then I'll explain the command now. So the command we used to create a controller in PHP was this, in Symfony was this command. So remember, if it was entity, we'll say make entity, then the name of the name of it. But now we're working with the controller. So the command is PHP. So let me just put entity here so we can see the difference. For entities, PHP bin / console make entity teacher. So this will create a teacher mapping table, but now we've passed that level. We're now on this level now. So the command is PHP bin/console space make controller. The name of the controller, which I've said gets the name that match with your database. If you're working with teacher, it should be teacher controller. If you're working with student.
So is this still on Symfony?
Yeah,
Are we going to map it on Symfony?
Yeah, Symfony.
Okay.
So this is what gave us this file. So it was this command that gave us this file.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So I ran this command here and it gave us this file basically. So this was the command.
Okay. For the entity, it will be on the entity folder.
Yes, but the controller will be on the controller folder.
Okay. All right.
So what? Let me just let me just delete this stuff. I run this file again. So let me just delete it again. I run it again. So let me just so everybody can be on speed. Where is delete? Yeah, this is delete. Yeah. So I've deleted it now. So we're back to default. And so this is the command I want to run now. PHP bin/console make controller. Since we want to get all the teachers in our school, the controller is like a midfielder. So the midfielder that will give us that is the teacher's controller. Because we can't be giving the list of teachers in our staff, in our students controller, or in our result controller. Is a mismatch. So we'll create a teacher's controller and call the name of the controller as teacher's controller. Now, this command I've done is that, so the -- template says that, because by default, if you run this command without this node template, Symfony will create two files for you. Symfony will create the teacher controller file and also a teacher new file for you. But for now, let's take it step by step. We don't have to go into view for now. View is like the front end, what the users will see on the browser. That's the last part of our application. We want to design what they will see, those buttons that they click. So I've said for now, no template means they're saying no view. So I don't need any template for now. So just give me only the controller file. So if I click on enter, you can see it's going to generate, it's going to tell me that it has created one file for me. And this file was created inside the source directory, the controller folder, and it's created a file called teachercontroller.php. So let's look at it now. So this is the file Symfony created for me. So this is file Symfony automatically. Then we're not looking at this. So the content of this file, that was when you came in, bros. And I'm not saying that now by default, because we named this stuff teacher controller, it means that the name of the class will be called teacher controller class. And that you get it down. So the name of the class, okay, let me go back to so it will be bold because the person are using phone. So the name of the class will be called teacher controller class. Then now there's what we call namespacing. And I was explaining that. So namespacing is, so teacher controller class is found in the teacher controller.php file. But where is that file located? Is what the names is the question namespace help us to solve. So if you look at line 3 tells us that this file is called teacher controller file, and it is found in the controller folder and in the app folder. Now let's look at where the app folder is. So let's go to the JSON. Now Symfony has mapped our app directory. Anything you see app as to our source/folder. So when you see app, Symfony will replace app with our source src directory, which is our entry point. So now it means that looking at this file is found in, so just do a backward reading. So just say the name of this file will be, because the class name is called teacher controller, the name of this file will be teachercontroller.php, first of all. That's the name of the file, first of all, in our minds. And this file, first of all, exists inside our controller. folder. Then inside our controller folder, it exists in our app folder. But there's no folder called app because Symfony has mapped app to source. So it means that we'll replace app and we'll put in source here. So it means that this controller folder exists inside our source directory. Bros, is it clear?
No, it's not clear.
No, where's the source?
Okay. So see the source file.
Mm-hmm.
So this is our source file, src.
Okay.
But Symfony has mapped. So anyway you are seeing app in our code going forward, from our setup, app represents the source file.
Yeah.
So this is the setup. Remember, this is your your computer.json file where PHP basic setup before it loads your application. So anywhere you see app file, PHP has mapped out to our source directory. We agree, Navi?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, good. So it means that inside our source directory, there's a folder called controller. This is what this means. So
sorry, why can we not rename that one source, just to be clear?
No, so it's from PHP setup. It's from Symfony, and it's from Symfony setup. Except you change it, but it's not
so the app now is equal to the source.
Exactly, it's equal to the source. You see it now. So what this thing does is it shows you that, first of all, you look at this represents your source. So let's look at it together. So first of all, this is your source folder. First of all, so let's convert. So Symfony will convert your app to your source folder now because it has mapped it here. Anywhere you see app, it represents a source folder. So inside your source folder, there's a folder called controller, which we agree. So let's look at it now. So inside our source folder, you can see the controller folder is a sub inside our source folder. We agree now. You get it now. Then inside is our controller folder. There's a file called teachercontroller.php that has this class. We agree now. We agree.
Yeah.
Exactly. So good. So I was just saying that the function of this namespacing is to tell us where our class is located. Because you can have classes with the same name. As you continue to code, you will have classes with the same name. But because of our namespace, it will not clash because the classes may be on the same name, but they are found in different directory, different locations. So fine.
But
so
sorry, from our mapping, how can we have a class with the same name?
No, so the mapping stops at the entity.
Okay, on the controller now.
On the controller now, we're not going to so the mapping stops at the entity. So anything mapping has stopped at the entity.
Yeah. But on the controller, you can have the same class, a class with the same name.
Right. So we can have helper class. We can have different class. We are the one coding the class that we want now.
Well, I thought the class is from the entity. No, like we have the term, the teachers, all that.
So that's an entity class. Now we've left that. We've come to the controller.
Okay.
We have class on the controller. We still have classes on the controller, but the classes on the controller are not mapped to any entity. They're just normal PHP classes.
So how do we create those classes on the controller?
Yes. So as I said, to create the class on the controller. So this is the command. That's what I run.
Okay. So sorry. What are those? Can I say variables that we use to create the class? For like the entity now, we know we're having the teacher, the term, the session.
So we've not done anything. So I'm just discussing. So I ran this command, and I got this default class. And I'm trying to explain what this class means. You get. So we are currently ahead. So I'm not taking step by step to explain what this class means basically, because I ran this command, and it gave me this empty default. So I want to explain step by step. So we are currently on namespacing. And I'm saying namespacing is just a way of telling you which folder this class exists in.
Yeah.
So that's the namespacing. Now, by default, so let's go back to PHP. Now, by default, let me see if I can. So by default, all controller file will extend the abstract controller. So I'm coming back to this file. I'm coming back to this place. So we agree with this. We know what this does. So this, let me just put it. This just tells us. So this tells us our file location directory. That's what it does basically. It just tells us, okay, this file is located in the controller folder under the app, which is the SRC, the source. Now, so let's keep this for now. I'll come back to this stuff. Let's look at this line. Let's look at this line. Now, this line tells us that this is a class. And the name of the class is called the teacher controller. Now, all controller file must, in Symfony, this is a must now, all controller file you are creating in Symfony must extend the abstract controller. So it means that all controller file are children of these parents. So what is extend? Extend is just you saying, for me, I'm an extension of my father. So my father is the parent, I'm the child. So that's what this line just means. So this is the parent.
Okay, more like inheritance.
Exactly, inheritance. I'm breaking it to the barest minimum, inheritance. So exactly. So every controller class must inherit from an abstract controller,
which is the parent class.
This is the parent class. So let's look at this parent class. Let's see what is inside this parent class. Because you know why they will inherit from the parent class? There are some traits that the parent class have that want to pass to the child so that we can use it on all controller without having to declare them over and over and over again.
Okay.
So let us look at what
Makes
is inside the parent class. So let's look at it. So click on it. It's open the parent class. And you can see, so this stuff, some of this stuff we'll be using are what is inside this parent class, which we'll be using as we're coding. We'll be redirecting to other routes. We'll be redirecting. We'll be returning in JSON. We'll be reading for files. So these are, we'll be adding, don't worry, with time we'll use all this code. Don't worry. Just take, I'm just going to turn it, let's take it step by step. Let's not rush. So you see all those stuff now, all this stuff that is here, automatically, this is the parent class. But because this child is inheriting, extend means inherit. So anywhere you see extends in PHP, extends, it means, like Daniel said, inheritance. So
Hand over to.
Yeah, hand over to, exactly. So inherit. So that parent has handed over all his properties and method to the child and say, take. So you can have them. All properties and methods that are public, are protected, are handed over to the child class. Remember, this is the child. This is the parents. So what this line means is that the teacher controller class inherits property from the abstract controller, which is the parent. Does it make sense?
Yes. One quick question.
Yes, sir.
So who runs that extend abstract controller code?
So the thing is, anytime you create this command, it will give you this default template by default.
Okay.
So I'm just trying to explain. So okay, so let me give you an example. So let's run that command. Let's assume. So so that you see what I'm saying. So let's assume. Let me assume to create a temp controller. So you see that it's going to give you a default like that. I'm just trying to explain so that when you create and you see the default, you know what it means. So let's say I want to create another controller called temp controller. Click on enter. It's going to create a temp. So this temp controller, looking at it, temp controller, it means that everything that has to do with temp will be on this controller. But let's click on it. So it has created it, and let's look at it. So you see, it gives you a basic also. You can see it gives you a default like this. I don't know if it makes sense, sir. Hello? I'm audible.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yes, you're audible.
Exactly. So it gives you, but I'm just trying to explain what this default means. So that, because the stuff is, most of the time, we'll be reading code to writing code. You have to read, you have to understand the code to be able to look at it and make correction. If you don't understand the code, you cannot know where the fault is coming from. You cannot know where the issue is coming from. So as a software developer, we have to learn how to read code So I'm just trying to break this down step by step, what each line means, basically. We're taking this step by step, what each line. So I agree that this, first of all, this line 1 is we opening PHP tag. Is normal now. We know this on a PHP tag. PHP tag must PHP code. So here we are opening. Remember this stuff, you will not type it to. It will give a default sample. Then we'll now start to edit from here going forward to build our application. But Symfony will just give you a framework for you to just start working. But let's understand what Symfony has done before we now start working. So this is just opening PHP tag. Then this line 3 tells us the location of where this file is stored. So remember, the app is mapped to the SRC.
To the source, yes.
Inside the source, you have the controller folder. That is where you find this file in the teacher controller.php. Then I've said, let's leave this first. We'll come back to this 5, 6, 7. Let's leave this first. Then I've said line 9. What line 9 means is that the name of this file, because when we're naming this file, it was called so okay, let me look at this. So this is called temp controller because when I was naming it, the name I gave it was temp controller. So the name you give it automatically becomes the name Symfony uses for the class name. And we said, so let me use this bigger file. Sorry, let me use this bigger one so I can see it better. So we said that the name temp controller. If you look at it now, I said by default, it's default. All controllers must inherit from the abstract controller. Teacher controller, it extends abstract controller. The temp controller extends abstract controller. In programming, all programming language, when you hear the term called inheritance, like that, Daniel, this is what it means. So inheritance means you have a parent class, and you have a child class. Now the child is inheriting features from the parent. Yes, that's called inheritance in programming. And for you to declare inheritance, the keyword to use is called extend. So this extend means inherit, but in programming it's called extend. But in it's called so the it just inherits. So automatically everything in this class, behind the scene, everything in this class will be loaded into this class by default. Yes, you see now. So everything here that is protected and public will be loaded into this class because this class has inherited from this class. I don't know if it makes sense.
Yes. It's making clearer sense. Making clearer sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, good.
But the line 9 you talked about, where's the line 9?
So this is line 9.
Okay, yeah.
This is line 9. So I'm just trying to swap because this gives me a bigger view, but I'm swapping between PHP Storm and VS Code because of the
Yeah. No worries. But so the app controller now is like the source, just to name where the folder is coming from.
That's the namespace. Exactly.
Yeah.
Namespace, yes. This is just to know where this file is located, basically.
Okay.
Because you may have files that have the same class name.
Yeah.
But this will not tell that, okay, fine. So I did it before. You can have a class that has the same file name, but they can never have the same namespace.
Who determine the class name for those files?
So for the controller level.
Yeah, because it's a bit confused. Why would they have the same name? So maybe if we keep going.
No, as we proceed, we'll see that while we're naming, we'll have the same class name.
No worries.
Yeah, we'll see it. We'll have the same class name, but they will be in different locations, basically.
Different namespace, different namespace.
So namespace, it's just like you having picture. Okay, just like you having text1 as a file on your desktop, and you have text1 as a file also on your documents.
Okay,
That you have two text1 as a file, but
one is different location.
Exactly, one is in your desktop, one is in your document. That's what this thing just means, basically. Yeah? So a time may come when we'll just basically create a file that already exists. But the good thing about it is you cannot have two files of the same class on the same location. It will bounce. It will tell you that it already exists. So you can have class. So that's the bit of this namespace. Now let's look at. So we've agreed on 1. We understand 1. We understand 3. So I said let's make 4 to 6.
4, 5, 6, 7.
So we agree on this, right?
Yes.
So this just means that the term class, the term controller is inheriting all the
From the abstract.
Yes, and this is a standard in Symfony controller. It's a standard.
That means,
yeah.
Sorry, sir. That means if we have about 20 controller classes,
yes,
they must all inherit from abstract controller.
You are very correct, 100% correct. That they must MUST, capital letter MUST, they must all inherit. If not, they will not work as a controller.
Okay.
Yeah, if you remove this stuff now, this your Symfony will not see this as a controller anymore. So for you to see it as a controller file, it must inherit from this. It's a must. Good. So
And it is done by default.
Yeah, by default. As soon as you run that command, by default. It's by default.
Okay.
I did not type anything. So whatever I'm typing now will be after I've explained this. Then that's when I'm not begin to type. But I'm not typing ahead. So this is by default. As soon as you run that command, it's going to create this default for you. The default setup.
Okay.
Now this is a class. And remember, we said a class will have. So remember to create a class now. So remember. So let's see. So remember we said to create a class. Class will be something like this in PHP now. I'm trying to refresh our memory. So it will be something like this. So class, then the name of the class. So let's say class name.
Wash uniform now.
Class name. Yeah, so class name. Then to have this and this. So remember now, to have the curly braces, open bracket, then close bracket. Remember now.
Close bracket, yes.
Everything will not be writing will be inside this bracket.
Inside it, yes. That's PHP.
Exactly. So that is what this bracket means and this bracket means. This is the bracket in the class. This is a bracket closing the class.
Okay.
So we agree on this now. So we now know what line 10 and line 19 means now. So remember, we still have this pending. We'll come back to this. So let's look at this now. So what does this mean basically? Good. Now this is we creating our endpoints in Symfony. Remember, your routes will have, first of all, one of the major function of your routes, sorry, not your route, but your controller, is to have your endpoints. So looking at this stuff now, what this thing does is that it's telling me that I'm creating an endpoint called /teacher. That's what this line means. This line is saying that I'm creating an endpoint called line teacher. But this teacher, since I want to get a list of all the teachers, I don't want it to be called teacher, I want it to be called teachers. So I will edit this stuff now. Remember, Symfony gives you a default. Who will not be the one to take it from here? So I'll make this endpoint /x teachers. Now, so this way it is. Route means that I want to create an endpoint. Just like, so our application will be something like this.
Okay.
It will be localhost. Remember, local is our server now. I think this is local. Yeah, I think localhost. Okay, no, it will be 127.0.0.1 8000/teacher. So calling this stuff now, if we put this stuff on our browser now, it's going to come to this route. Should I show you guys? Should I prove it?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay, good. Okay, good. So let me prove it. Let me go to GitHub. Let me get the command to start Symfony server. Let me just get it. Just a minute. So let me prove it that it's going to come to that point. Vision 100K. So let me copy this. So let me start the server now. Good. Let me start it on stuff here. So 8,000. So it started now. So I've started my Symfony server now, and I want to prove to everybody that when I click on this link, it's going to come to this route that I'm creating. So let's see. So let's see endpoints. Now let's go. So let's click on 127. So remember, the server is starting on. See, the server is starting on http://127.0.0.1/8000. That is where it's starting from. So let's go back to my browser and I'll put http //127.0.0.1 from 8,000 / now good. Now this is my general. So this represents your domain name, but because we're in local environment, we're using a local test domain. You get now, but where are we starting from? We're now picking it from /teacher. So I'll copy this /teacher and put it here on the browser. So /teacher on the browser. And so what should I show you that to prove to you that it's coming to this endpoint? So let me put echo Mr. Ugu, and I'll die it. So I'll tell you what I'm doing. So I want to prove to you guys that. Oh, sorry. So I think what's happening is that there's a override. Let me override it. That's fine. So good. So I want to prove to you guys that when I hit this link on my browser, it's going to come to this route. It's going to come to this point. So now what I've done is that I've said when you get to this point, echo Mr. Ugu and die. So what die means in PHP is that when you echo Mr. Ugu, terminate the code. Don't go further. Don't run anything on this stuff. Just die it here. Die it on like 15 and kill the code. I want to show everybody that this controller is actually coming to this particular. This is the function that is processing this endpoint. So let's go. I've saved it. Control X to save. I come in here. Click on it. It's loading. Let's give it some time. It's loading. It's trying to find my routes, trying to find my endpoints, trying to call the endpoints. Let's give it some time. Let's see. Everything is so much slow because lots of stuff are going behind the scene, Jerry. But you also know they are slow at this. See it. Can we see what's on the screen?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know.
Okay.
Bros, is it making sense?
Yes.
So what it means is that anytime you go to /teacher, this is the method that will handle it. This is what we call endpoints. So this is the function. This is a function. Remember, this is a function now. I will map this function to this endpoint of /teacher. Remember, if this is teacher and with one X and this is teachers, it will
not work.
Exactly. It will return 4 errors. It will not work. It will tell you page not found. You see it now. It could not find the page. That's what
sorry. So can we just use that code for the server? What's the difference between that code and that PHP my admin, the one you use in the entity server?
Which one is that?
You know, when we were on the entity,
yes.
We were using the server through PHP my admin. I don't know if you remember.
Yes. So PHP my admin is just for you to view your database.
Okay.
That's your database. That's PHP my admin. But now we're running our script live now. We don't want to view. We want to run our PHP server scripts and get information from our database and view like we're running the website.
Okay.
But if you want to view your database, that's only you want to view only your database alone. Only your database alone. That's going to PHP admin. But now you want to view your entire application as a whole.
Okay.
So you can see that. So the name here must match with the name here.
Yeah.
It must match.
Yeah.
So it means that if I want to create an XSS, I need to create another route endpoint on my controller file called with SS for it to match. So if I'm giving the front end my API endpoints or my endpoint, it must match. They must use exactly what I'm giving to them. We're on the same page now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, good. So good. Now, remember this stuff. So what this thing does is it's mapping. This is also mapping our browsing endpoints. Oh, I'm trying to enter. Okay, sorry. Somebody just trying to enter. Yeah. So what this thing does is that it's trying to map our browsing. It's also doing a mapping, but this time it's not mapping for database aspect. It's mapping our browsing requests to which method will handle it. So we are saying that anytime the user hits this link /teachers, This is the method that will handle that request.
Okay.
So let's say, for example, now we want to declare another. Okay, so let's take step by step. So this is the method. So now, and now this. So let's take step by step. So this is the route. So this is the route linking to what will be on the browser. So this will be /teacher. It has to match exactly with what we are typing here. So /teacher will be here, linking to /teacher here. Then the name, we just naming this route basically. So Symfony has a way of, okay, so this name is a unique name that we give to this route. So I'm saying app.teachers. So you see this by routes, I'm giving so it's called alias. So instead of calling these teachers, I can call this app.teacher. It's almost the same thing. So anywhere I call this app.teachers in my front end, Symfony will resolve it to meaning this. I'm trying to mean /teacher. So it's me just giving an alias,
Okay.
or then the next thing I will add is a method. I'll add a method to it and call it. So remember, these are the methods we have. We have 4 methods basically. We have the get, the post, the put, the patch, the delete. So which method will go in here now? Which method is appropriate to go into that method place now?
It should be a get.
Exactly, because we are getting information from our database. Remember, the function of this controller is to get a list of all active students all active teachers in our school.
That's
a get method. So it will be a get method. So you can see, so this is what the person will type on the browser, and it must match. This is my alias name, just like guy's name for this route, like a guy's name. So I can use it in my front end as a guy's name. Symfony will resolve it to this route by default. Then I'm telling Symfony that this is a get request. So on this function, I am not doing an update. I'm not doing a delete. I am doing a get request. I'm getting information. Yeah, exactly. So that's what that means. Then this now means that now when you finish mapping your stuff, you have to also map a function that will do what. So a method is not a function. So that method will not be what will be executed. So remember, this is the route the person will hit on the browser, which I've showed you. That this is the route is hitting now. I'm showing Mr. Ogo. You see, it's calling Mr. Ogo. You can echoing Mr. Ogo at. But now, then this is the method that will run when this route is hit. So you see they are together. I'm declaring the route on top of the method that will run on that it will run. So these two are attached. Why this is the route, this is the method that will run.
Okay.
I don't know if it makes sense, sir. And bro, does it make sense?
Yes.
Does it make sense? That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes,
Nope.
it makes sense.
Doesn't make sense. So it doesn't make sense. So where does it make, so tell me where does it make sense? Where are you confused?
Hmm?
Where are you confused?
From this route, I say that route, please, just explain that route, please.
Okay,
No,
good. Okay, so give me so I want you to tell me give me a route. So you give me just tell me anything you want to put in here. Let's say we are browsing now. We are the one creating the browsing stuff. So let's say I want to create /ada, right? I want to create /ada now, for example. Now this is the route. Okay, so let's say so good. Let's say I want to create. So let's leave what I'm doing. Now let's say I want to create vision 100K coda /ada. Now I'm creating a site that will give us. Now I'm telling you this route when you are browsing. So that when you are browsing, so let's go to Google. Let's go to BBC. When you are clicking on this stuff, these are all endpoints you are clicking basically. You see this stuff is endpoints. They're just clicking on it. All these things are going to somewhere. It is changing basically. When you click on this stuff, it will change here. Click on this stuff, it will change. So we're trying to declare something like this basically. So I would say Yes, and I've said I want this endpoint to give me information about Ada because Ada. So first of all, we'll have two endpoints now. If I put an endpoint called this, so that I want to diverse a bit so that we can understand this stuff very well. So if I put this endpoint now, so first of all, this endpoint is called Vision 100K coders. This will give us a list of all the coders that we have in Vision 100K. Then this one will not give us specific Ada information because it is Vision 100K coder / Ada. So the way it will flow is that when this will give us a list of all the coder, when you click on Ada information, view Ada profile, it will not take you to this link that will give you specific information about Ada. Do we agree? Is that clear?
Yes, sir. It's clear.
Okay,
Yes,
good.
sir.
Now I want to map it. I want to map this stuff on our controller. I want to map this stuff on our controller now. So let's digress a bit. Don't worry, I will delete it. So let's leave this stuff. Let's see how we map this stuff on our controller. What I will do, because I'm working on Vision 100K coder, I will create a controller called Vision 100K controller code controller. So it's going to be called Vision 100K
Coders controller.
Exactly. So let's go and create that stuff now. So let's go back. Let me create a terminal. So the command, I'll create a controller called PHP. Remember, controller is to take in requests from our browser. Remember, when we're browsing, this stuff we're hitting on BBC is actually hitting a controller that is doing it. So getting the request, processing it, and giving us a fine page that we are seeing, which will come and design the fine page. It's a step-by-step we're going. For now, we're still doing the engine work behind the scene. Before we now give you the beautiful page you will now see of Ada and our information. But let's take it step by step. So what I'll do first is I'll go in here, PHP. So the command is PHP bin/console. Because I'm working on controller, I'll call it make controller. And I'll call it Vision 100K. So let me call it Vision 100K coder. Remember, since it's a controller file, I must signify with the controller and controller. I don't want a template. I'll put / no templates. I just want just a controller file because I don't want us to show any view for now. So we're not going to the front end. Let's take it step by step. So I created it so that I'm trying to map. So now if I click on this stuff now, you tell me not found, 404 error. It didn't see anything like that. So I'm trying to create an endpoint that will make this stuff to be found, basically. So let's proceed. So now I'll copy this endpoint because I'm the developer. I'm the one creating the endpoint, not the front end guy. I'll be the one to create the endpoint. I'll pass it on to them and say, when you want to see other information, here's this endpoint. This endpoint will give you Ada's information. When you want to view all the information about everybody in Vision 100K, hit this endpoint. It's going to give you everybody information about Vision 100K. So what I need to do first of all is I need to copy this. Remember, this is my domain name, which I'm using my test server. So I'm going to be consigned from after the slash, which I'm going to create a first called Vision 100K. I'm going to copy this. And I'm going to open, you can see this is my controller file now, which is Vision 100K. I will open it. Then I will replace. So you can see what Symfony did for me. Symfony said by default, you just thought, say, okay, is it Vision 100K / code? I will say no. I will delete this stuff. Remember, I will make sure what is here matches exactly with what's in my controller file. Then I'll paste it here. So you can see it's matching now. Then I will not say, because I'm getting the request, the method will be a get method. I'm getting information. Remember, I did something here. I said, because we are retrieving data, I want to get all the list of programmers in Vision 100K. I'm getting an information. So the method will be a get request. Now I want to prove to you that this stuff will hit this controller. Then I will put that, okay, at this point, echo list of all developers in Vision 100K coders program. Then I'll put a semicolon. Remember, this is an echo statement. This is a PHP. Then I will kill it. I will die it here. I don't want it to go further. I want it to echo this stuff and just die. Or I can put a return. Bros, yeah, you can put so yeah, you cannot use a return, for example. I just put a return, but let me use a die. So I'll die it here. Then I'll create another. Remember, it's two routes I'm creating. One will give you a list of all the controller. Then the second one will give you specific information about that. I think it was okay. I think I've moved it. Sorry. So let me copy this and paste this here. Control A, Control V, then /ada. So I want this. Why this will give us a list of all the controllers. Then this will give us information about Ada. So I need to create another route again that will handle. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. I need to create another route again that will handle Ada's information. So what I need to do is that, so to make it very fast, I will just copy this.
Okay.
Copy this, Ctrl C, paste it, and begin to edit it because PHP will flag it. They are duplicates. What I will do next is that I will come here, I will copy down to /my Ada. I'll copy this here, paste it here, replace it here. So remember, this is /vision 100k coders. This is vision 100k coders /ada. This is 100k coders. This is 100k _ coder _ ada because it has to be unique. So I'll put an ada here. Then this is a get. I'm getting all the 100k coders here. I'm getting ada information. So I will leave this as a get method because both of them are getting information basically. Then this is an index. Then this will be, I can call this get ada information as the name of the method. It's just the name of the method basically. It's not doing anything, just like a method name. You are naming it. Remember, this route is tied to this function. When this route is called, it will execute everything in this block. When this route is called, when it's hit, it will execute everything in this block. So now let's now go to this will not be. So my name is Ada, and I am learning Symfony. Let me just put something so I can differentiate between the two. Symfony program. So good. So you can see I've created on this one class now. I've created two endpoints. One is /vision 100k coders, which will run and give us a list of all the developers in vision 100k. Why this is /ada that will give us information specifically calling Ada's information. Yeah. So let's test this on the browser now. Let's see.
So sorry if we have like 100 persons in that class now, we'll create all the folder under here.
No, we'll not create that. So I'll give you. So I'll do something now. So you lead me now to do something now. We'll not create it now. But let me just test it. Then I will now answer your question, bro. So you see a shortcut we'll use to get that. Exactly. I like that. So now let's load this now on our browser. She's loading. Just give it some time. It's going to come up. So it's trying to find. So it's trying to run through our application and say, yes, I've seen an endpoint. You can see list of all the developers in Vision 100. So which it has located these endpoints. It came in here. It saw that it matches here and it's run the code in here, which I said echo this and die. Now let's also now run /ada. See now, my name is Ada. I'm learning Symfony. Because why? It matches, it picks this. It comes in here, it matches this, and it ran. So this is really not creating. And does it make sense?
Yes, sir.
It makes sense. Okay, good. Now, Bros now asked a very good question. He said, now we are like, I think in this class when we were like 10.
Sorry, before we answer Bros's question.
Okay.
Now, if you say echo and return, and then you call Ada's own, Ada's link, because when you call Ada's link, the first link left, that is the Vision 100k link left.
No, so it was different browser.
Okay.
Yeah, I opened two tabs.
Okay, not one.
So what will it now return? What will it now return? Just in case we're having the return.
Okay, the return statements. Okay, so let's see.
Well, from my understanding, return is just if the information is not available, return this.
return is not basically if the stuff is not available. So what return does is that return is just like you are killing okay, so instead of going further to consume other lines of code, you are terminating the code at that point to return if it's an error or an early return.
Okay, that is if that information about maybe let's say like that is not there, return error.
Return error, exactly. Don't proceed further. There's no way to proceed further because, like you said, that information is not there.
So what if you use the die and the information is not there?
No. So this die, you don't use this die is just to debug. Oh. You don't use it in real code. Oh. You don't.
Okay.
You don't die code. It's not because I don't want it to. So I don't want it to go further than this line.
Yeah.
In real code, you don't use that at all. You don't use that at all. It is that. It's just that I just wanted to terminate here because I've not.
But normally to return the JSON, so return.
Yes, exactly.
JSON.
So I've not explained exactly. I've not explained what this does. That's why I don't want to talk about this stuff yet.
All right.
That's why I'm dying it. So I will later explain what this does exactly. You return a JSON file exactly. So, bro, so let me answer a question. Then I will now look at this JSON. We'll use it here. So now the stuff is that currently we're like 10 in this stuff or 8 in this stuff. Now, bro, is not saying is that I will put Ada, I'll put Bros, I'll put Mr. Ogo, I'll put Mr. Trust, everybody name one by one in the route. I'll now have like 10 different routes, which is a lovely question. But that's not so, bro. So that's not it. So when you know that your parameters can change, your variables can change, you declare it's what they call a placeholder. So you declare a placeholder. So let me show you how you do a placeholder. So this is what they call a placeholder. Sorry, let me do it in so that it will be clear here. Let me save this file. So that it will be clear here. I think this is better for the view. So now instead of putting /ada, I'll create another one again /Mr. Ogo /Mr. Trust. No, I know that this endpoint is to go to a database, pick the person's information, and declare it. What I'll do is that I'll create a placeholder. So how do you create a placeholder in Symfony? It's very simple. Just put like this and put a name. Now, what this thing means is that this can be anything. You get? So remember, I just use a name. Name can be anything, but you start with a question, a open bracket, and you end with a close bracket. Now, anything here can be anything. Then what I need to do is that I need to pass in what this thing will represent. So yeah, I'll come in, I'll say, remember, you can pass in parameters into our functions. I remember when we're doing functions that you pass in parameters. So I will declare string. Yes, and I'll put a name here. So what it means is that whatever is passed outside these quotes, take that stuff and pass it into this method as name. And instead of using this stuff here, I'll replace this with name. So it will be any name I'm passing here now will now be passed automatically in here. So you can see I'm getting it from a placeholder here. I'm passing into the method as a placeholder, and I'm replacing it here as a placeholder. So if I pass Mr. Ogo, here will be my name is Mr. Ogo. If I pass in Ada, here will be my name is Ada. If I pass in this, so let's see it now. Let's test. Let's see if I'm correct. So this is it here. So ADA. So it's still trying to load. So you can see it said my name is Ada. So let's put Trust. My name is Trust. This is not. Let's put Bright. My name is Bright. So you see that. So that is what they are doing in BBC. So when you see BBC routes, so let me show you BBC routes. So when you see BBC routes, yeah, that's what I was explaining the last time. That's where it starts. So let me see. I want to get an article. Good. Now, let's pick. So I want to pick this. I want to pick this route. Let's pick this route. Let me paste it here. And let me paste this route. Yeah. Now look at this. So what's the difference between these two routes?
The last the stuffs are different.
The last stuff are big good. Perfect. Now let me pick this. Good. Let me pick this. So open in the tab, and let me pick this here. Let me put Ada here. So let me pick this. So slash this. So this is BBC's own. So let's do our test on also. You also tell me what's the difference also with our test on. And this. So what's the difference between our test on also?
Okay, the last is the name that is ending it.
So you see, it's the same routes that they declared. So what is changing? So what is doing is that they're passing this stuff in here. Now this stuff represents a unique identifier. That's like it's scattered. You can never guess it. It's scattered. So what they do is that when it comes in here, it gets here. Our controller picks it. Our controller speaks with our model and say, model, give me a data record that has this ID as a unique ID. If it's found, it will return yes, I have it. Then it will not give you the picture of the blog, the information of the blog that this thing matches. That is why you are saying that if this stuff content is different from this stuff content, it's actually the content is actually stored in the database, mapped with this ID. You get, so the database is actually one. Why the route is the same, it's like a placeholder. Whatever is coming here will be the parameter that will be picked to find the model. Model will check for it. Do I have a unique record of this stuff? Yes, I have it. Then to display the record. So it's one route that is handling these two endpoints. It's one route. Just the same way we have one route handling bright and Amanda.
So sorry, that number you generated now, who will now give us that number? Is it from the server for the cloud-based this
No,
software we are using?
It's your database that will generate the number for you.
Okay.
So definitely you'll be using a database package. So let me give you an example now. So let me give you an example with my tests.
Because this number now, we just copied it from our GitHub, which means it was generated.
Okay.
Yes, I'm listening. Just a minute, Daniel. Let me just answer this question, then you ask yes. Just a minute. So let me show you my test database. Oh, I think this will not come up because I am currently not connected to Docker. Okay, that's fine. Let me use this one. So let me show you something like this. So why they are using what they are using? Then I'm also using. So I'm using this one also. So if you look at this stuff, so this is mapping I'm using. Everybody has a package they're using. So my own package, I'm using a 32 key. So it will be difficult for you to guess.
So how will you generate that? Who generates
So there's
that?
there's a package that will call that will do it for us automatically.
Okay.
And don't worry, when we start coding, I'm just trying to when we start coding, there's a package that will call. We'll restore a package that will generate this number automatically.
So this side we are on now is the server side.
Exactly.
Okay.
So this side is our side of the database, exactly.
Okay.
Why this side we are reading our application. So Danny, you want to ask a question?
Not like a question though. I'm just trying to, just so I understand it. I'm trying to put a physical scenario. So now, because now I was confused before, but the way you now change you now did the placeholder now make me understand. So now it's more like in a real world scenario. Maybe we have something like, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you very well.
Maybe we go into a restaurant now. Maybe for instance, I want to go and eat, and then we now have something like a dish. The barman just give us a dish, or there's a dish, a list on my hand on the table, and then the list is now more like a resource, right? And where these resources can be found are in the kitchen. Okay, maybe I need a bar, I need a mala. All these things, it can be found in the kitchen. So I now call the waiter, which the waiter can act as an API. So it is only the waiter that knows where these things are. So if I decide to order rice now, the waiter will go to where the rice store is. If I decide to order swallow, the waiter will go to where the swallow is. I think the rice and the swallow is where you're now changing the other and the other name, right?
Perfect.
If I get it. Okay. So now because it is the waiter is now the API now. The endpoint is now maybe the EBA from the kitchen now. and then the rice. Those are each different endpoints. If I decide to eat beans, beans is another endpoint.
Yes.
Eba is another endpoint. Fufu is another endpoint. So it is only the waiter that knows this place, right? So anyone I decide to pick from the menu list, the waiter will just go there directly.
Good.
So now the Ada and the other stuff are now changing, you know, instead of having to repeat all of them, right?
Good. So let's use, so I love the example you brought now. So let's assume I want to create a route with what you've said. So remember, this is my test server. This is my test server. This is my restaurant. I'm going to go /restaurant slash, sorry. So /restaurant /menu, which you said menu, then / a placeholder for the menu ID.
Okay.
You get it now. So what will be changing will be this. If you select rice, we're going to pass in the ID of rice. If you select beans, we're going to pass in the ID of beans. If you select fufu, we're going to pass in the ID of fufu. And remember, we are getting this ID from our database because first of all, when you are listing all your menus, that listing contains your ID. So anyone the user clicks on, we are going to pass, as you are clicking on it, they are passing the ID to the next route. You are knowing that you are having interest in fufu because you've clicked on fufu. So the next route, so the way to be is, so let me show you the way to be. So let's say, for example, it become like this. Become like this. Then one is rice. And rice has a menu of this. So this way to be, but this way, when you are browsing, this way it is so, but you will not know. So this is the link when you click on rice. It has rice flowers 1111 that 111. This is then menu 2. It's, let me just copy this to make it fast. Let me just copy this to make it fast. So menu 3. So 1 is so 2, then 3. So 1 is rice, 2 is beans, then 3 is fufu. Now what to change is this will be 111-111. Then this will be like I told bro, there's a package we use to generate this unique ID. Then this will be now when you what you are seeing is okay, you click on rice. When you click on rice, it's actually going to this route. When you click on beans, it will go to this route. But everything is already mapped inside. Yeah, exactly. The database, and it's mapped inside this link. When you click on it, it's going to send you to this route. Now, if you look at this route, this route on our controller, it will be mapped to this particular endpoint. So it's like HTTP restaurant menu. Then this menu ID is what we're expecting. That will be different for each of the menu. So when we get the menu ID, we will now tell our database which menu ID is 1111-11. Now they oh, this rice. This person wants to eat rice. Okay. Now serve the person rice. If the person chooses beans, serve the person beans. If the person chooses, this is how we will list all our menu on our site. You click on it, or let's say you are doing an e-commerce site, you list all the product on your site. When they click on it, so okay, this person wants to add this to the cart because you are getting that. So when you are creating an e-commerce like Amazon that has over 1 million products, they will not list all those 1 million products. No, it's just a one route that picks the ID that is coming and you're just swapping it basically. You just change it based on the ID. You don't have to create 1 million different routes. No. They create one route and they put a placeholder. Whatever you select, it has a unique ID that
It's just like a function in procedural.
Exactly. So that's what we do basically.
Yeah.
So irrespective of what you pass in here, if you pass in Ada, if you pass in Buhari, if you pass in anything you pass in here, so you can have 1 million name passed in here. You put in Buhari now, it will be so it will be hello, my name is Buhari. The same thing.
But that ID now, sorry, that ID is already mapped to the
yes.
to our database with that
exactly. Because remember, so the stuff is let me see. So when we are listing, so So the stuff is
sorry. So all those names we put in our database now, we'll now map them with this.
so
code.
let me let me do a mapping here. Let me do a mimic mapping here. Let me see if I could do a mimic mapping. Let's do a mimic mapping. So I want to list all the data of everybody that is in this cost. So let me just do a mimic mapping. So let me do a mimic mapping. So let me show you how you map it on your front end. So href is equals to but this mapping should come from our view, but let's do it here in our controller. So you see the way they will do the mapping. So coming. So I'm just trying to write some HTML code inside our PHP, which is not correct, but let me just show you how you do the mapping. So href, then so let me copy this link. Okay, good. So paste it here and paste Buhari here. Okay, let me put rice here. Let's stick with the restaurant. Let's be realistic. So rice. Then this next one, let's make it. Let me put a BRO tag. Cool. I'm trying to map this. Let me make this beans. Let me make this yam. And let me make this fufu. So let me turn this to beans. BENS yam. And fufu. Okay. Then on this part, instead of saying my name is this, so let's say hello user, you have selected fufu from the menu. Let's say hello, you have selected fufu from our menu. So you will be served very shortly. So let me show you what's happening. Shortly. Good. So let me refresh. Let me go back to the link and refresh this first link first of all. See it now. So this will show us a list of. Let me make it start. So let me make it bold. Sorry. You can see it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so this will show us a list of all the menus we have: rice, beans, yam, fufu. Now look at what's happening. No, I want to do something. So I will put the spacing. So 1, 2, okay. So I want to add extra ones.
So it's like declaring the variables first.
So what I'm doing is, but this is wrong. This should come in our view. I'm just going to show you how they pass data with a link. This should come in our view file. We'll not do this here. I just want to show, since we don't have a V yet.
Yeah.
But I just want to, so this is a good. I want to space a good. So let's say you go. So let's say you go to a restaurant like Daniel said. They give you the list of food they have: rice, beans, many yam, fufu, plantain, everything. Now they say click on this to select which one you want. Now look at something. Please look at this down. I want to look at this point. There's this button. Oh, can you see my mouse?
Yeah.
Yeah. So look at this point. So when I roll over each of this link, just look at this down. So see when I click on this line. So what is showing there? It's showing 127/0/0 which 100K
Yeah,
/ right?
Yeah.
Next one is /beans
Yeah.
/yam /fufu. So you see that end part is what you are passing that. Oh, if you click on it, it means that you've selected fufu. So that if I click on fufu now, it's going to go to hello, you have selected fufu from our menu. You'll be served shortly. If I go back, if I click on yam, it will be yam. If I click on beans, it will be beans. And if I click on rice, it will be rice. From one link, from one source.
Makes sense.
You can see it now, eh? So let's say, for example, you want to create a food app. You just, first of all, you need to, so this way is tough. So this is why I say, so if you're creating a food app, this should come from your view. On your view file, you will pass the ID of rice here. You will not pass it as rice. So I'm just going to give you an example. This would not be the ID of rice, which we will get from our database. Oh, see, we're building it step by step. We will get there. Don't worry. We will just get there. So then when we get the ID of rice, on the next route, we will not get what the user have selected. Pick the information here. Now we now have the information. Then we'll query our model, our database, to give us the full information using that ID. Remember, every table has a primary key. So you can see the function of a primary key. You must have a unique identifier. So for that unique identifier, you can get all the details of that menu, for example. And can I show the person the pictures of rice, the price of rice, and everything. So but I don't know if it makes sense, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
Makes sense.
Is that your questions, Navi?
Yes, I'm clear now.
Okay. But we'll not do this here too. This will come from our view file. We'll not do this in our controller. Exactly. So let me just take it back. So does it make sense?
Yes, it makes sense. Yes, sir.
Are you sure it's making sense?
Yes.
You're the one that took us to this place, so that we are in currently now.
Yes.
Let's go. Yeah, okay, good. So let's go back to where we are. So let's just finish this stuff. So I will delete this vision 100K because it's not part of our project. So let's delete it. But we'll see, like for example, when you want to get, let's say we have 100 teachers in our database. We don't need to be passing the 100 teachers record. No, we'll just do a placeholder, picking the teacher's ID. When you select on a particular teacher, we'll go to the database and we'll fetch the details of the full teachers and put it there. So we'll not create, or we'll have 1 million students. Okay, let's say for example, University of Benin have close like 300,000 students. We'll just pick the unique mat number or the student ID, create a route, have a placeholder. Placeholder can be called student ID.
But we must declare the student first somewhere with the details and all.
Yes. So that is the post. You must create a student first.
Yeah.
The database.
So the student must register in our database now.
Yeah, they will not give the student like an ID.
ID, exactly. It's that ID now will now retrieve to get the full student information. Is it nice? Exactly. So we just do the route called maybe Unibase/student. So this, if I'm doing the database /student ID.
Sorry, can I call this composer our server? Just like we have the other one as the entity side as our database.
So composer, that's not composer. So you mean controller?
Controller. I mean, yeah.
So control. I will call controller like more like an ng block that takes in.
Yeah, because from my understanding, now the entity is the database where we have everything.
Yes. But you know, for instance, the entity is also the database is also part of the server.
Okay.
You get it. So everything, because the server will run both your front end, your controller, and your database. Everything is running. So what will be the application? Everything will run. It's just that PHP admin is just specifically you want to go and view your database. But when you're running your full application, from this controller, you can have access to your database also.
Okay.
You can query, you can send query to your database even from this controller. You understand, boss?
Yeah.
So your database is actually part of the server, basically. Everything goes together as a full package, but just that PHP admin is specifically dedicated when you want to access, you want to view your data in your database, basically, from your database aspect of things. Just like, for example, I'm using Table Plus. Table Plus, I want to view my database only. I want to see what's happening in my database. So like, but on my full application, I'm also running a database ng on my application. Yes, I can delete this now.
So that's other the browser that displays the final result, like this one. Wow, what are we going to call this now?
Yes, so this is our server. This is our web server.
Okay.
So this is our web server. So this our web server runs our front end, which shows the view, our controller, and also our database. So this is our web server, basically.
Okay.
But because we are testing now, we are now using our development server. So as soon as it's live and it's decoded, so we cannot be using AWS server or infrastructure server.
All right.
Apache, exactly. So that's it. So let me delete this now. So let's just finish with this stuff. So let me delete this now. This is not part of what we're doing. Good. Anyway, yeah, so let's go back to where we were. So I can delete. So I've proven that this route hits this point. Now, what is now this return? So bro, just say return.json. So what does this mean? Now, Mr. Daniel will agree with me that when front end, so when you're using REST API, so remember that there are two major types of API types. There's the SOAP and there's the REST. Now the REST uses JSON communication. So for REST, the process of communication is called JSON. That's the method of exchange of language called JSON. JSON is just a very simple, structure type. And the bit about JSON is that Ruby's on Rails can communicate with PHP using JSON. And PHP can communicate with Java using JSON. So irrespective of your programming language, you can communicate using JSON. That is why API does not matter which programming language you are doing. So the front end can be running on React, the back end on Java, they will communicate as long as it's JSON exchange. They both understand JSON basically. So when you're working with API, it doesn't really matter what programming language you are using. It doesn't really matter. What matters most is, okay, give me what I need to, give me my endpoint. I hit it, I send the request, you get your data. So what does this JSON mean? So let's look at what JSON means. So this thing is just like an exchange language. So what I'm saying here is that, remember, when you hit this route/teacher, it's going to call, because this method is mapped above directly, this route is done. Okay, let me add this method here. So method is a get. So if you don't add it by default, it will take the get. If you don't add it, you use the get by default anyway. So because this method is mapped just beneath these routes, you're going to run this stuff and it's going to return. So return is like what I said, is like what will be returned in this query. What do you want to return? When you are returning a web page, the return will be return. So if you're returning a web page, it will be return this dot render, then the name of your web page, your view file. So if we are returning the web page, let's say we want to return a web page that has our twig, which will get there, a design that has the design and everything, we return it with the render. Then if we're returning a JSON, the return will be this.json. Now, where is it coming from? These things are coming from the parents. So let's look for JSON here. So you can see this is where it's coming from, JSON. And it's coming from the parents file. You can see that JSON. So that's like, because it has inherited this parent file, it has this stuff inside. So if I remove this stuff now, for example, if I remove this line, for example, it's going to bring, you can't find this method again.
Okay.
You see that? So you can't find it again. Because why? This method is coming from the parent controller, or the parent abstract class. You see it now? So that's why I said all controller file must inherit that abstract controller, because there are some methods that you have to call from the parent. Does it make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
If I put this in back now, I see it has seen it. So that is what the inheritance does. So what does this mean? Is that when we're going to return, a JSON API. So let's look at it. What the JSON API. So let's even look at what a JSON API even looks like, something like that. So let's even see it. Teachers. So good. So this is this is a JSON API. You can see it has a JSON and it has the message part. Message part. So this is what it just does. So message part. So these are JSON. So now this JSON is what another programming language can consume this JSON. But what do we want? But what do we want? We want to get a list of all the teachers in the classroom. That's what we wanted now.
Yes, that's what we're looking for.
Yeah, so who can remember what it's called a constructor? Can you remember what it's called a constructor again?
Yeah, constructor is basically when you want to have multiple, for instance, I'm talking from a Java side of
Okay,
it.
okay,
You know,
okay,
Java will make you think in object-oriented.
yes,
Everything is just an object. So if
yes.
you now want to have multiple objects, like maybe for instance, you have human being now. Daniel now human being. Miss Adana human being. You now want to have multiple persons. So that's when constructor comes in.
Okay. Okay. Anybody can remember? Anybody can remember? I think we discussed constructor the last time now. Anybody can remember what's the constructor? Okay. 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 So Daniel, what you basically said is so what you said is not more like a constructor. It's more like having multiple objects from a class. So let's
Okay.
say a human being is the class. Ada is an object from a human being class. Daniel is an object from a human being class. Now, a constructor, remember, is a method that is run or that will run once the class is first called.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so when you call, so that's why you have those getters and setters. When you call a class, there's a function that will run by default, basically to set your parameters, even in Java. So as soon as you call that class, that method will run by default. As long as it's there, that method will run. And
That means you must have put something like a setter and then a getter. So it will not be calling the getter.
Exactly. So in Java, you see getter and setter. So before you're in a class, you want to set some properties of that class. You want to set some parameters that the class will now use later when the class is formed. I haven't forgotten. Bro, we don't forget the constructor. We did the constructor now. So a constructor by default will run when a constructor by default will run when the class is loading up. And so let me show you here that a constructor will run by default even before we call these routes. But because we don't have a constructor, it's not running. But let me build a constructor into this stuff. Probably when I see the constructor, maybe we'll remember what constructor is. So this is a constructor in stuff. So let me show you. Don't worry, probably when you watch this video over and over again, you guys will get it clear. So this is the constructor now. Now let me show you that this stuff will run before it gets to this point. So let's go. I want to die this stuff. So dd, I ended this script. I ended this code. So I want to show you that this constructor, although I'm trying to access this stuff, but this stuff will kill the request from getting to this stuff because this method will run first before any method in this class is called. And here I'm saying dd. So what is dd? Dd means dump and die. So echo this code and die, kill the code. That's what dd means. Dd is in Symfony, in PHP is dump and die basically. So let me refresh this stuff again and let's see what will happen. Is it difficult? Or it's just technical?
It's just technical.
It's just technical. It's not difficult. It's just technical.
Okay.
A lot of things.
So you can see why this stuff. So this stuff has run on line 13. And it's telling you that even although nothing concerned these routes with this constructor, because there's no route on top, but as long as this constructor is defined in this class, it must run first before any other property of that class can run. It takes precedence over every other property of the class. So that's what this constructor is. So basically, it is basically used to set properties or parameters that we will use in this class later.
Okay.
This is you get. So if it's not there, it's not there. It will not run. But once it's there, whether it's Java, any code, it will run that constructor method first before it now begin to give you access. And basically, in those codes, it's used to set.
What's the function of the constructor now?
Yes, it basically used to set. So we're going to use it here. So we're going to use. So there are some parameters we need to set. So first of all, one thing we need to load is that because we want good. I love this question that you asked. So because we want to get the list of teachers in our database, we need to load in the teacher repository into this class. You see it now. So before the class runs, we want to load in the teacher repository into this our class.
So it's just like before we get one of the teacher, we need to load everything.
No,
first.
our idea is to get all
Okay.
the teachers.
Okay.
Teachers. So now, before this class even runs, we want this constructor to first of all run and load up all the teacher that repository first of all. First of all, not all the teachers, so that repository first of all. We want it to load up that repository into this constructor method. So that is the duty of the constructor. The constructor is just to, so before your class run, there are some files you will need to load up first, because those files may be needed within this method to run well. So this constructor will now let us get those files first. Then when it passes those files, it sits down where it now begins to run these methods. So because we are working, remember, repository, while the entity gives us the structure, the repository allows us to query our database. I want to get a list of all the teachers that are active. That's a query to our database. And the repository that we'll need, we'll be needing this teacher repository. You see it now. So for this compiler to run, we need to find a way to load this teacher repository into our teachers controller class.
But the teacher repository contains all the details of the teacher.
Yes, it contains all.
Okay.
Because Symfony has already mapped it into this. See this small code. Symfony has mapped it. But we just have to find a way of loading this class into this constructor so that this method cannot use it. Then how can we do it? So it now leads us to what is called dependency injection. I want to test so you can see that we'll soon finish just a minute. So it leads us to what we call dependency injection. Now, what is dependency injection? It's just very simple. It's just injecting one class into another class. We're going to pick class A and put it into class B because there are some properties of class B that needs that class A to function. You get? So because teacher repository makes it very easy for us to query the database with ease, we have to... Sir?
I hope you are recording this thing.
It's recorded, sir. It's recorded.
Okay.
Very important too. I'm going there too. I'll go back to watch.
It's recorded, sir. So because if you watch it again, you begin to understand. See, once you get this concept, the program will just be very sweet. So what we do now, this is stuff, bros. The repository gives us access to teachers' information. We agree now, right?
Yes.
Now, our controller needs that information.
Okay.
We need to take that repository into our controller so that we can easily access
teachers' information.
Exactly from that repository. You see it now. So then how do we do that? We need to do that in the constructor before that teachers controller class even run at all. Let us first of all have access to that teachers repository so that we can now query from there with ease and just be fetching record from the teachers teachers repository. So let's go. Let's do it now. So what do we do? So it's called dependency injection. This thing, you just tell Symfony the file that you need. Symfony will load it up for you by itself. Just tell Symfony the files you need. So I'm telling Symfony now, Symfony, when this constructor is trying to load, now load this file for me. Very important. What's the modify? I'll say load this file. The name of the file is called teacher. So you can see Symfony, exactly, teacher repository. I need this file. So you can see this is the class name. This is the namespace. You can see the namespace, very important. So I need this file called teacher repository. Then I need it as a variable called teacher repository. Just the same way we're declaring string name. Remember this string name now. So now I'm saying Symfony, this is the file I need, teacher repository. Map it into this variable called teacher repository. Good. So this is one first of all. Then I will come up and say, okay. Now I want to declare a variable now. Private teacher repository. private teacher. So I've declared a variable here as a private variable. Then I will say this. So this now, I'm referring to this now. So this dot teacher's repository, which is this here, should be equals to this dot this repository. Good. So what I've done is when my class loads up, I declare an empty variable called private teacher repository. Now, when Symfony is running this parameter, I tell Symfony, go and fetch this class for me. Go and fetch this teacher's repository for me. Assign this class to this variable called teacher repository. Then when you get it, this variable I declared is this. Map this variable into this stuff. And this variable will now be accessible for me to query my teacher's repository. Does it make sense? Or it's confusing?
It makes sense. So
Okay, good. Oh, but the
It's a
shortcut
bit
to it.
confusing. It's a bit confusing.
Okay, or let's use the shortcut to it. So this is the shortcut to it.
no, let's not go to shortcut first.
No. Okay, exactly, because I wanted us to know.
Yeah, let's know the
Okay.
Let's leave shortcut first.
No,
Leave
but
shortcut
maybe,
first.
but no, but you never can tell. The shortcut may even be clearer.
Shortcut is confusing sometimes. So.
Okay. Okay, no. Let's do shortcut. Shortcut is because that's where the new PHP is going to. But this is the long code. But so let me show you shortcut. This is the shortcut to it now. So the shortcut says private. This will even be clear, and this is what they're using now. Private teacher is equals to this. So I'll put a read only. I'll put this. This is it. This is the shortcut. Is this not better? So let me explain what this thing does. Is Symfony, when you run this constructor method, go and get this file and load it into this variable. That's all. Is this better?
No, me, I'm not like this shortcut too.
Okay, not like this shortcut. Bros, is it not better? Okay,
It's short and better, but
it's short and better, yes, but
it's better because
we need to get the if it's the long one that will be more explanatory, it should be fine.
Okay. So let me go back. Okay, let's go back. Okay. Okay, let's go back to the long one. Okay.
But the shortcut might be for the professionals.
Exactly. Let's go back to the long one. Okay, so this is the long one now. Now, I've said first of all, I declared a variable. Remember, we declared a variable called. So this thing is the same thing as saying private string name. Remember that, bros, now. Oh, it's doing a variable.
yeah.
Same private string name. But what I'm doing is that we're mapping into this class that this is not a string. This is an object class of the type of teacher repository. And the name of the variable is called teacher's repository. That's the name of the variable. So these two are the same thing, basically. Comment this out. Now, the next thing we're saying is that constructor. So this is called dependency injection. So it's called dependency injection. So we're saying, constructor, when you're loading this class, go and fetch this file for me. You go and look for it. You must find it. Look for this file for me and map it into this variable called teacher's repository. So these two are not the same thing. No? Why this is a variable, this is a property of our class. This is like what is loaded, this will not be loaded into this. You get? Now, when I say at this point, when I say take this stuff I declare, which is this dot this, and assign, okay, so let me make this 2. So that we can see. Let me make this 2. So I'm not saying, so load it into teacher repository 2. Now, assign this dot repository, which is this here, as teacher repository 2. So now it means that going forward, I have successfully loaded my teacher's repository. Just with this few line of code, I have loaded my teacher repository into my teacher controller class. And I can query directly from here.
Okay.
Right now.
Huh? It's confusing.
You
Can
say
you
it's
run
clean
it?
now. I don't declare. Yeah.
Okay, I don't declare now, B. Aha.
Can you run it? Can we run it now?
Yeah, so wait, yeah, sure. It will tell you to give you the same thing there. So let's load. It's loading. But it's run well. Good. So it has run well. It has loaded it, but we've not told us the instruction we want. So the next thing we need to do now is now to tell it. Now we now have access to query our teacher's class from our teacher controller class. Now, what exactly do we want? So now, good. So let's now query it now. So I'll put variable list teachers is equals to, remember, to access this now, I will use a this dot. Remember, this is now a global variable that can be accessed by all the properties of this class because I have loaded it from the constructor. So it's now publicly available to all methods of this class, basically. So I'll put this dot teacher repository slash find all. Finish.
Okay.
This command will give me all the list of teachers. Welcome. That's all. Should I prove it to you? Should I prove it
Yes.
to you? Yes. Mr. Ago said yes. Just this one command will give me all the list of teachers I have. And okay, Mr. Ago said I prove it. Okay, so let me prove it to Mr. Ago. So good.
Seeing is believing.
Okay, still believing Abi. Okay, so let me use a DD. Let me use a DD and let me put the teacher here. So let's refresh here. Remember, I'm doing a dump and die. So let's dump variable in that stuff and let's see what's inside. If it contains all our teacher information. Okay, so good. Oh, beautiful. So who can tell me what's happening? Okay, so what's happening is that my ZAMP is not started.
Okay, because the target machine.
Exactly. So let me just quickly check my Docker and start my ZAMP. So Docker PS.
Wow.
So let me start my ZAMP. So you can see the way just one line of code has given us all our teacher record because we're calling the repository and we're finding all the data in the repository. I'll show you that it's going to give us all the teacher record, all. So so my lab is starting. Let it start. It's starting. Okay, good. So it started. So let's refresh again. And let's refresh this stuff. So it's loading. So good. So let me show you. So this is Osaro Frank Ugbo of Benin City. Let me show you my database. This is my database here. I think it was localhost, right? Yeah, localhost. And let's go to it was with 100K. Let's go to our teacher, Sarah Frank. So let me add on that record again. Let's add two. Let's add Daniel.
Okay.
Daniel, right? Let's just put Asaba. One. See. Let me refresh this stuff again now. And let's see if it will have access to. You can see we have two teachers. One is Usaro Frank, and two is Daniel Bright.
Yes, yes.
So you can see we do not write any SQL query.
Yes.
Our program is just very simple. So if I had done the shortcut, so if I was coding now, for example, if I have done the shortcut with just 2 lines of code, I will just do something like this. Say, let's say I'm coding this stuff. I will just do something like this basically. So I'll do something like this. So private.
You want to run the shortcut?
You have to run the shortcut, yeah. Private, read only, teacher, shift, teacher repository, then this So I'm just saying, so what I've done basically shortcut is that when you run the constructor, get this private, make it private, make it read only, because I'm not going to edit this file. I just want to read from it. The name of the file is this is the name of the file, and assign it to this variable. That's all basically. Then so with just this line of code and this line of code, I can get access to all my teachers. So let's try for the same thing.
Okay.
So let me add another one again. Let me add another teacher. Let's see. So you can see our database is already in sync. So bros, so you can see our program is now ready from our database. So let me see. So let me add another teacher again. Let's say Bini. So let's see if we get the record. One. Let's see. So if we refresh now, we should have like 3 records. I've saved this here. We should have like 0, 1, 2, 3. So let's see if we have it here. Just refreshing. Let's see, we have 0, 1, 2, 3. So the first one is Usaro Frank. The second one is Daniel Bright. And the third one is Mr. Ugo, MD, University. And its active is true. Just this line of code. Because why? We have mapped Symfony to understand our database from the entity level. Bro, is it confusing?
It's becoming clearer.
It's confusing though.
It's confusing.
No, bros, don't worry, it will not be, because it is recorded. So
now it's very clear now. Very clear. But I'll still go back to check this record.
Yeah, I have to go back to the video.
Okay, so bros, so let me
give you a bit more technical now, you know.
Yes, so good. So let me give you 3. So first of all is, so rule number 1 is, so rule number 1. So let me give you a quick tip that will help. So quick tip. So 1 is so on your constructor, so on your constructor file, so your constructor method, so just load all classes that you need. So let me use this to open one of my projects. So you see my constructor file. Let me just open one of my projects. Let me just open something. Let me just open a file. Open new projects. Oh no, sorry. Let me just open it from here. On this, I'll do a comparison desktop. So you see the way my constructor file is now. Open PHP store. It's not confusing, bro. If you go through this over and over, you play this video like 1, 2 times and you understand it. We'll send it to the video will not be too long. So when we're watching it, you just be straight to the point.
And you send the video like the normal one. This last one, there's no way to zoom it and see.
Oh, really?
That's video, there's no way to zoom it, you know. Like the normal one that we use password to open.
Okay. Oh, that one you can zoom.
Yeah. To see, you know, if you are watching the video, you need to zoom it and see what you're talking about.
Okay. That's fine. So let me open this one here. So you see new file. So you see one of my constructor. So let me show you a constructor and a controller. So this is a cat controller. Let me see. So this is, let me see other. Okay, let me see this stuff. So you can see this. So this is my constructor now. You can see how many files I loaded. One. This is 1 file. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So these are the 8 files or 8 classes that this cat controller needs to have to be able to run very well. So at this constructor method, you will load up all your classes that you need. You can see, so you can see this is the one line I was using that I was telling you about, Daniel. So just straight line, private read, the name of the file, and the variable you're assigning it to. It will just pick all the files, pick all the classes here, and make it available with this variable. Yes, exactly. So this is what I'm doing here. I'm just saying, okay, I need this teacher repository because I need to query the database. So get the teacher's repository and make it available with this variable. That's just basically. Then now, as soon as it's available, this now becomes a repository, teacher repository that I can query it. So let me show you that it's teacher repository. If I click on this stuff now, to take me to this file. So if I go back and click on this stuff, it took me to this file. So it's that this file is not available on this part. So this file is not available yet. So now there are 4 things you need to get. If you want to get, so let's just run through the 4 simple query we have to use. So first query is find all, which I've done now. So find all. This will give you a list of all the records. Get all records in the entity or table. The second one we could use is find by. Let me just be sure. So find by. Yeah, good. So find by. The next one we use is find by. So the find by, we have to pass in the primary key. Remember, the find by will pass in the PK, which is the primary key, which we will test also now. Now, it will give you the exact record of that primary key. Get the exact record of the primary key. Then the next one we'll use is the find one by. Let me just be sure. So if I put find, yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, okay. Sorry, find will give you exact record. Then we'll give find by. Now this will go with an array of, let's say we want to find teachers that are active only. We'll put active, so put an array of which parameters we're looking for to find. So I can put active is equals to 1. So it will only give you the record that matches with the parameter you are passing in the array. So while this will give you all, this will give you find with the primary key, this will give you every record that matches with what you pass in the array. So let's say I'm passing active, which we'll also test before we close the class now. So get records that matches with the array parameters. Then this will get all records. Then the last one, which is by default for Symfony, is find one by. Let me be sure. So find one by. So it's almost the same thing with this, but this is the difference here. So it's going to be find one by. So instead of giving, why this will give you all the record, this will give you the first record. Get the first record. First record that matches with the array parameters. So these are the 4 default Symfony method to query. If you need more than this, then you have to write your own query, which we'll write it in the repository. So now let's test each one now. Now find all. We used find all before. So let's refresh this stuff here. I'm didn't it here on the teacher. So this will give us all the teachers' record in our database. So we have three records here. We have 3 here. Now let's now say I want to find just Mr. Daniel. And Mr. Daniel has the ID of 2. So what I need to do, I need to pass in 2 here. So I'll use the find, and I'll use the primary key of 2. So I'm finding, you can see it has an ID. I'm finding particular for 2. So let's refresh the stuff. Let's see. You can see it gives you only Daniel, because Daniel matches the ID of 2. Now let's now say we want to find, let's make Daniel inactive, that Daniel has left our school. Let's say we want to find teachers that are active in our school. Okay, am I too fast?
No, it's okay. It's okay. I'll go over the video again.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so let's say, let's just say the last one is find by. Don't worry, go back the video, bros. This is already I did. Just call me. We'll go up together again.
But we'll get their stand the first to that composer. I never installed that one finish.
Okay. But are you on your screen? I know why.
No. Phone I always use my system, not the quick pick. But I will when I will on, I will let you know.
Okay, that's fine. So active is equals to 1. If we die this now, this will give us only teachers that are active, which is 1 and 3. It will not give us 2. So if I refresh this stuff now, in our browser, it will give us 1 and 3. So let's see. Okay, good. Okay, active. Okay, good. So let's look at what I declared this stuff with. Let's go back and put this stuff. Yeah, teachers. I'll call this is active. Sorry, this is it's active. It's not active. So I think it's active. Refresh this here. So you can see it's giving us just 1 and 3 because 2 is marked as not active. Is 0, is false. Then the last one, we found 1 by, will just give us only the first one because it's 1 by. So it give us only the first one that matches. So let's refresh. Let's see. We get only 1. Yeah, only 1. So these are the 4 default query basically that we can use. So you can see because we've loaded our repository, we can be querying our database because we now have our repository file inside our controller. So let me stop the recording and
Jola! What up, mommy? I didn't pay.